You can go whenever you're ready.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
There's a lot of variables going on the side of the table.
Just making sure. We got. Okay, cool. This is awesome. All right.
Yeah,
Here we go.
For you guys. I got to talk about that.
I got to talk about it. You're the happiest you've ever been. All right. Hello and welcome back to this week's edition of the Omni Talk Fast 5. Today's a special week because today is a special edition week. Today is one of our favorite days of the year. Today is the day we give out our Omni Talk Retail Awards for 2019. We got everybody in the studio here. We got Carter. We got Ann. We got Emma the intern. And we even have Emma the intern's dog, Margot. Margot, say hi.
Hang on. Let me see if I can get Margot in the camera.
For those watching at home, look at that.
Hey. That's not the sound Margot
Oh my
makes.
God, that was worse than my Canada Goose call.
So
last week.
That was pretty bad.
The table is actually divided here. So you have one side of the table who hates dogs.
Hey,
You have the other side of the
that is
table
not fair.
that maybe enjoys dogs a little bit more. Hence
that
this
is an
dog in
unjust-
my lap.
That is an unjust classification.
I think so too. I think that is very unjust. We love dogs. We love all animals. We all love all life and celebrate it in many different ways. To each his own. To each his own. But it's Friday morning. I, for one, have had a hell of a week. It's been a busy week here on the content side, which I'm sure we'll get to. I also saw the 11 p.m. showing of Star Wars, and I want my 2 hours and my money back.
Wait, it was bad?
I can't believe this. You're
What
like the biggest
happened?
Star Wars fan on the planet.
I am one of the hugest Star Wars fans on the planet, but no spoiler alerts here. But I will say this. It was, to me, the worst movie in the entire franchise. I thought it wasn't possible, but it was just awful. And after a few more weeks have gone by and enough people have seen it, I will give my riff on exactly what was so horrible about the movie. I was super depressed.
And it was an 11 o'clock showing, so you
Depressed?
gave up a whole night's sleep.
I did. I
Yeah.
did. Yes. Thank you for
Did that have
reminding me
anything
of
to
that.
do with your judgment of the movie? Is the sleep deprivation?
The sleep deprivation? or the
No.
Who'd you go
absolutely
with?
Not. I fair play to a friend of mine, a guy named by the name of Jake. We've seen probably the last 5 or 6 of them together. He gets a whole group of people together. He's the only one I really know. But I went with like about 7 or 8 different guys.
Question. Do
And-
you dress in theme?
No theme dressing. In fact, Jake and I wore the same jacket, and that was kind of awkward.
So it's like kind of like Sadie's.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Just checking in.
Yeah, exactly.
Star
yeah.
Wars,
Yeah.
Sadies,
Yeah,
with
but-
the dudes.
Yeah, but I want to hear the feedback from everybody coming in this week because I just thought it was bloody awful.
Did Jake like the movie?
Jake was funny because Jake saw it at 5 o'clock with his
Oh my
family.
gosh.
And
Wow.
But the problem is he saw it with his kid, and he had to leave like 5 times. He was saying, and he prefaced the movie by saying, "Guys, it's really good. Like I actually really want to see it again." And then he walks out, and he says to us, "Yeah, it wasn't as good the second time. I now saw the whole thing." And I go, "Yeah, man, it was awful." Like I was like making jokes in the theater. I was like, "This is crazy," But anyway, I'm excited. We got a lot of fun stuff to get to this week. We got canines in the studio. Everything's ready to roll.
Well, Chris, we were going to prep a little bit, but you said no. We're going to go with the flow. You have something in your mind that we're going to go through today, and it's going to be good.
Absolutely right. Like I had, for those listening, I asked all 4 of us here today, with the exception of myself. I know what's coming, but all 4 of us
That's
today.
good.
Yeah,
Do you really though?
exactly. No, not really. But I asked all of us to come in prepared, but no one knows what questions I'm going to ask, what we're going to do. And so I'm curious to hear who everyone's going to give their awards to today. So this is going to be completely fresh, off the cuff. Hopefully we'll have some hilarity that will ensue, and we're going to have a good time. All right, but first I want to give a shout out to our sponsor. And our sponsor is, of course, Trigo. Trigo helps grocers unlock the true beauty of brick and mortar retailing by designing a magical checkout-free experience using computer vision and AI. Together with Tesco, Trigo is now building the largest checkout-free store ever built. And we dropped a hot podcast this week on Trigo. Did you see that?
Oh,
I've got
my
a lot of good
goodness.
feedback on this, too.
Dropped it like it was hot.
Drop it like it's
I have
hot.
no doubt.
Computer vision.
I have no
is
doubt that
the
it was an
hottest
amazing
thing.
podcast, but I really need to find a better word than hot for you guys.
I do. I know. I keep using that a
Can
lot.
you wait? You guys, can we find a better word for Chris? I'm not using that word.
That's fair. That's fair.
Ever.
But getting back to the content side, yes, we interviewed the CTO of Trigo and one of the co-founders, Daniel Gabay, all about the history of computer vision. And we really focused on that, too. What is computer vision? What is the history of it? I've had a few comments from people already who really like the podcast. Encourage you guys to check it out. There's a really cool and fascinating part about an orange and how a computer knows whether an orange is an orange. Really interesting. Highly encourage you guys
So
to
deep.
give it a listen. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. Like, you still, to this day, I still think about it quite a bit. Now, recorded that interview probably 3-4 weeks ago now.
Yeah, and there will be some video clips to come that we actually recorded that in their live store that they have in their offices. So look for those in the coming weeks when you're bored of your family and you need a little break.
That's right.
Why not look at computer
right,
vision?
When you need to put some earphones in just to kind of unplug. All right, you guys ready? Let's
Yes.
do this. Let's start in the place that you probably should start, and that's Retailer of the Year. All right, drum roll for 2019. And why don't you go first?
Oh my gosh, my phone just crashed.
Who
on me.
is
okay?
OmniTalk, in your opinions, Retailer of the Year?
I don't think that the audience will find this as any surprise, but I picked Kroger as Retailer of the Year.
Whoa! Really?
I did.
Wow, that's so out of left field. Why?
Why? Because for a lot of reasons, actually. I think that what they're doing and their store in Cincinnati, which is kind of a giveaway for maybe some of the other answers to my questions
Okay.
later on in the awards show. But I think that what they are doing and what they're building, the partnerships that they've had with Walgreens, with the one we talked about with Cluster Truck, I really believe that right now Kroger is kind of pushing where grocery is going to head, where grocery is headed.
So you're a big fan of all the experimentation. And for clarification, too, because we had some questions about this Cluster Truck, a software platform, not a dark kitchen. It's the
Right.
software platform that
Yes.
allows Kroger to do that.
Correct.
Just point of clarification based on some questions we had.
Correct.
But you're a big fan of all the experimentation. So this kind of shotgun experimentation approach that we've talked a lot about over the
Yeah.
past year, you kind of think they're doing some good things.
I think I'm not saying they're all the correct things, but
Sure.
I think that this year they really put it all out there, and they're putting it live in front of audiences. They're getting feedback, and so that's why I chose them as
I did
Retailer
not
of the Year.
expect that at all.
Yeah.
Carter, what any thoughts on that? And
I
also
don't
your
know.
own
It's just
submission?
like we have talked about Kroger a lot, and I think that them being I don't even want to call them an underdog though either. You know, at the end of the day,
for sure.
you know, they're a pretty big player, and I agree they're doing things that, you know, when we compare them to Walmart, aren't just PR worthy, or actually, I would argue, moving in the right direction. So I can't knock it. It's not the fun or cool choice, but
No,
it's
but
definitely the
Carter, it's me. I'm not
I
fun
would
or
call
cool.
you fun or cool and cool.
Okay.
But anyways,
Yeah, I
Well-
might call you both, but
What did you
it's
pick?
a good
Car-
dark horse pick, though. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, I mean, you can't fault them for some of this stuff.
You can disagree with me.
mine's random.
Oh, we will. Yeah.
Yeah.
We will. Mine's really random, but it's well, it's not random. It's very me, I would argue. I
Uh-oh.
picked Shopify.
Oh, wow.
Shopify, the
job.
sleeping giant that
Good
was able
job.
to unify mom and pop online e-commerce shops from around the country to take on Amazon. It's like all of the little people are joining together to take on the behemoth, and they might actually gain some traction and win. Now, win obviously has an asterisk on the top right corner of that, because what the heck does that even mean?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, I think Shopify did some incredible things. They were already a really powerful platform. I already loved them in 2018 when we looked at just how easily they're able to enable e-commerce for any size shop and really advance technically forward e-commerce with that. And then all of a sudden they started layering in all of these other services this year. They had this huge, the huge announcement about unifying the power of all these small mom and pop shops, everything from shipping to really kind of the fulfillment side of things to warehousing. All of those things came from Shopify. And looking back on it, it's like, well, it's not a surprise, but it was a big move for them. And I think that move that they created in 2019 is going to have a ripple effect in a lot of the stories we cover in 2020 and beyond.
That's a really good one, man. Really good one. Yeah. And, you know, when you say retailer, your mind doesn't always go there.
Totally,
That was
yeah,
really-
right?
Yeah, it's really good. Really smart. Really sweet. Emma, what'd you think?
I also picked Kroger.
You also picked Kroger.
Oh,
Wow. Why? Because of the
This-
Krogies?
I think
you
I
guys didn't even bring up
get
the
a
Krogies.
I think
Were
I
you guys
get
a
a
big-
point for
a
cool
big-
here.
a
Wow,
big
Emma
Krogi
picked
fan?
Kroger. Like, and for those listening too, you know, Emma's been with us what now? 2 months, 3 months, and you know, this was a side of the business too. I think having come from kind of the retail program that you're in at the University of Minnesota too, like studying and watching Kroger every day was not something you were doing on a daily basis. So why'd you pick them?
Yeah, I mean, I just
Wow.
have never really had exposure to grocery and find it to be kind of boring, honestly. But reading the Kroger headlines, they're just doing really cool things that I think
Oh
have
my
really
God.
big impact if you like mass scale them across the country.
I don't.
And I mean, Krogies as well. But like, they're just doing really cool things in terms of grocery, and they've always been just interesting to read about.
Wow. And for those that can't see
You
on the
guys.
video, Ann is fist pumping the air.
I'm gonna take a W for
wow.
this one.
All right.
I mean, I love it.
Okay, I'm gonna go in a different direction.
Okay.
And I'm kind of surprised this one didn't come up. I actually am gonna say Lululemon.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I'll let you,
Explain.
All right.
I'll let
here
you
we go.
continue.
I think Lululemon. One, stock price has done very well.
Sure.
They have done cool new things with their stores, both their new store in Chicago and both their new store in Minneapolis. And for me, and Anna and I have talked about this and argued this in the car, Lululemon is getting into that area of being a brand that is an experience in and of itself, getting into the flywheel of many different options, and that being kind of the wellness angle, right? You know, it's at the beginning it was about a yoga pant, but now it's about the Lululemon lifestyle, and that extends into so many other things. It can extend into yoga classes. It can extend in the future into gyms, as Anne's talked about, wellness retreats, vacations. This is how adults are wanting to live their lives, and Lululemon within that can be incredibly powerful. And as we all walk the mall together, the Mall of America on Black Friday, the place is packed and there's not a sale sign in sight. Second year in a row we've seen that. I just think they've done some pretty masterful things. But Carter, what do you think?
So, you guys know I'm a huge fan of Lululemon, right? Like, I would never want to knock them. But at the end of the day, when you look at Retailer of the Year, a lot of what they're doing is by the playbook isn't right, but it is very not. It's expected brand building powerhouse moves that they're able to do based on the cash and the brand that they've created. Now, that is no easy feat. I never want to
100%.
discount that. It is so hard to do. But when you're looking at other brands have been doing that in the past in different ways for ever since brands existed. Lululemon is just, I would argue, the one that comes out on top of that fight this year. But I didn't give them this specific title because I think the Retailer of the Year is based on someone who's gone against the grain, made some changes to do innovative growth rather than pour cash and actually execute incredibly well.
Yeah.
However, that's why I didn't give them the title.
Fascinating, interesting, and I think actually going back to the basics of some of what they've done to keep that brand really strong is actually one of the reasons I gave them the award this year. You know who my second was?
Well, the numbers were insane. Like, let's not forget about the numbers are insane. Like, their men's business grew by triple digits. Like, and they're doing amazing things. And you'll see the rest of my list echoes that.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear this. You know who my second was though? Was Nike. For a very similar reason, and we'll talk probably more about that too. The ones two I think to give mention to, because I was surprised they weren't heard, was Target and Walmart. Why did neither of you guys say those?
I just think it was. I mean, once again, Target has made some really great moves. Like, you'll see that in my list. But again, like, these are incremental. They're not even incremental. They're expected down the path growth opportunities.
That's
and
Lululemon's stock price, by the way.
Yeah,
for
I was
those
just gonna
looking
say,
over the last year looks pretty good.
yeah, it looks amazing because they're doing a killer job. But same with Target. They're doing an incredible job. They are constantly changing things to increase their stock price and add value. However, when you look at someone who's a little bit more revolutionary and who we can give a title to and say, welcome to the party, like, congrats on all the success, like, that's why I picked something.
No,
that
I get why
wasn't.
you picked Shopify. I think Shopify is a good pick too. This one's always a fun award because like you could give it to a lot of people. Like a lot of people have a good year. Like Target and Walmart had great years too. You know, for me it was just there's so much noise in just what's happening in the business with Toys R Us being gone and every other department store falling off the face of the earth. That was why they didn't make the top of my list. But I'd like to be Lululemon in the future, relative to some other people. I think they got some defensible things. All right, Carter. All right, let's go to you. Second question. Executive of the Year.
Executive of the Year. So, first of all, and we'll get to it, the retail dive pick for this is pretty disappointing. But when you look at the Executive of the Year, so mine's a shoe-in. It's good old Emily from Glossier. And this is why.
Yeah, I want to hear why.
Wow.
She has hit unicorn status this year. However, has still been able to enlist and leverage and maintain the value of the brand that she had built in 2018, 17, 16.
Okay.
And so when you look at even the most recent retail executions they've made, like we just got off the Nordstrom story 2 weeks ago, and she once again leveraged her brand and said, you know what? Yeah, we're going to put 4 bottles there. We're going to staff it ourselves. We're going to take a whole 20 by 20 space and sell one product. Though that's just one example of, I think, of how that brand has continued to leverage its power, even in the celebrity status that they've found themselves in the last couple of years.
Wow. Didn't expect that. I think the scope's too small though. Like it's cool. I think you're right. She's making good moves, but like its scope's too small.
That's fine.
Like I kind of put it back on the kind of some of the things you're saying about Lululemon, but But yeah, no, to me, scope's too small.
Maybe
You
I'm
need
just
more.
a fan.
I think you are a fan.
A little fanboy
That's
over
okay.
here.
I think we
That's
all
okay.
I know, that's the
Hey,
thing.
these are our awards.
Absolutely.
do what we want.
They're very
Everyone
personal.
wins.
You do what you
Carter's
want.
a millennial. Everyone gets an award. You know?
Just
True.
see all the soccer
True.
trophies I have at
That's
home.
right.
Yeah, he still has. a
And what'd
trophy
you
room.
think?
Mine's kind of boring, but I feel like you got to give it to him, and I picked Brian Cornell.
So did I.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
I don't love it because it's like so the obvious choice unless you're
Yeah.
retail dive. But it seems, I mean, what he's done this year with that company is remarkable, and so I feel like we got to give him the gold star.
I think so too. I mean, he made the call to, batten down the hatches, hunker down, do all the foundational things, a lot of which were around supply chain and, how fulfillment operations were going to work. And seemingly the thing is, working to unbridled success. Like
Yeah.
the comps are outstanding. You've done the curbside pickup thing,
Yeah.
and that seems to be working incredibly well, which kudos to them too, because not everyone's on that bandwagon yet. And the team's just done a masterful job. So I think the big question is, of course, what's next. But man, yeah, where the stock is positioned today, and how it looks, they've done a fantastic job. Far better than, as Carter alluded to, Michelle Gass at Kohl's, which, if you look at their stock price, is a completely different story. I'll actually find that just.
Why
for
do you
everyone
guys
watching
think they
at home.
chose her?
I have no idea.
Like even reading,
Cole sent them a really nice Christmas gift, is what I think happened.
Kohl's stock right there.
Yeah, right? Like, how could you be the executive of the year when your stock price is where it's at?
I don't know, you guys. I'm very confused. Emma, what are your thoughts? You think?
When I saw that, I laughed. And because, like, to me, Kohl's is just an irrelevant brand. Like, my mom shops there, and that's the only reason I have some, like, ounce of respect for them. But to pick a executive of a brand that's so, like...
Do you think it's the Amazon?
I
thing?
honestly think it's just because of the Amazon returns thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is-
why else
which-
is it?
And even if we decided that we like that, think of how we're comparing her to the rest of the retail world. And, like, think about, like, even Kroger, right?
Yeah.
Who had back-to-back evolutions and innovations.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you do one good move and that's like everyone applauds you. I think at the end of the day, like, you need to be having 50 of those wins in a year, especially if you're Kohl's.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't want to discount. That's no easy feat. Like, it's a challenging place, I'm sure, to be over there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
However, that's the
call it what
competition.
it
That's the baseline.
Yeah.
And also, just so everyone's aware too in the audience, 2018, the winner was Jeff. Retail dive was Jeff Gannett. So,
Man.
Which you have your own opinions on, from
it's
what
the
I know.
It's the Madden cover jinx, basically. Emma, are you kind of on the Target bandwagon too, or like on the Glossier bandwagon? Where are you coming down on this?
I would probably pick Target over Glossier.
Yeah.
I love Glossier, but, like, Target is just
Scope.
a much larger scale.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's do this one. Favorite store you visited in 2019? Go, whoever wants it.
Oh man.
Glossier in New York.
In
All
New
right.
York?
Yeah.
All right. God, man, Glossier's coming up a lot.
The Glossier New York thing, though, I actually won't even get into it. My favorite store for sure was Lululemon in Mall of America, Black
wow.
Friday
Oh,
morning.
Wow. All right.
And not even, and maybe it's because I saw it beforehand. Like, I was able to, like, adventure inside when it wasn't so busy. So when
Yeah.
it, like, filled up, it was even cooler. And they had their own collection of issues on Black Friday morning, like anyone would. And, there was a pipe burst behind the bar and everything like that. But, like, even everyone we met, whether we knew them personally or they were just an employee, was, like, outstandingly incredibly nice. Everything was fun.
Yeah, they
Like,
were.
and I think at the end of the day, like, the insight we had, if you've listened to our Black Friday episode, if you haven't, you should go back and listen, was the idea that they weren't running any discounts. The whole point is that they were able to execute their brand in a physical way that I think embodied it perfectly and also created the, like, mecca for hangout for their ideal audience.
Yeah. Felt like the Gap to me back in the 90s, but anyway. What'd you think, Ann?
I said Planet 13.
Wow.
Ah.
I thought
Did
you go there
did they
when you were
win
in
it
Vegas?
Last year too?
I
feel like they
didn't
won
end
last
up
year.
making it there when I was in Vegas. There was a giant convention going around, so there's a lot of people visiting that space. But
You saw it in September and March, though.
we
Yeah, you guys have been there a
we
couple
saw
times.
it in March, yeah, when we were there for out there for Shop Talk, and then saw it again, their expansion that they're putting in, which I think that to me is really, now the expansion is open, but that's really where you start to see, like, these people weren't even in the retail industry, and they've created a beautiful high touch concierge shopping experience. And I think that while a lot of people aren't 100% on board with them because of the industry that they're in, they're doing service and they're doing retail right. They're putting retail theater in with their production facilities on site and the giant windows where you can watch their products being made.
Which for that line of product is incredibly important. The idea of transparency and things like that, they're able to differentiate through that physical environment like other brands aren't.
Right. And I think they're using some cool tech in there that makes sense, like just, how they're using any sort of digital screens or how they're implementing kind of those things that are generally like a frill or flare in a shopping experience. So
yeah, it's not like overdone on the digital side.
Yeah.
Like it just seems, smartly
I'm going to give it
done.
to them.
Yeah, interesting. Wow.
That's fair.
Okay.
What did
okay,
you
those
pick?
are 3 things out of left field. I was a toss up on mine. I loved Sam's Club Now when we visited it in January.
forgot
I
about
would
that.
have loved to go to that.
I thought that was what you were going to pick.
Yeah.
Just
shoot,
because I
forgot
think
about
that thing
one.
is so different and daring.
Yep.
Well, and that was the one we covered where, kind of the local audience was kind of up in arms because it wasn't the old Sam's Club.
Yeah.
And they
But
were
it was
they were
the-
used to the million square feet of palletized
Yeah.
toilet paper, and that wasn't what it was.
It was the only warehouse club that I would enjoy shopping, I think.
Yeah, and it was well done. It was beautiful, and it was really cool how it was all Scan-and-Go-based technology. And then the other one that was kind of my favorite was the Amazon Go in New York with the Starbucks coffee machine.
Yeah.
Which there's a video on YouTube. I'm like your hype man over here. There's a
You are
video.
today.
There's a video on YouTube which you should watch, which is really good about that experience as well.
Yeah, it was basically like, okay, I could start my morning here every single day.
True.
And even my afternoon, I could make a stop in there every single day. Still surprised they're not growing even faster. I know that they're expensive to build probably, but at the end of the day, like it's just a really cool concept. Check out Free Retail is a really cool concept, and you can see how it can work across co-working, coffee shops, convenience stores, everything. And so I thought it was really neat. All right.
What next?
What next? Oh, this is a good one. Best omni-channel experience. Carter, let's go to you.
Okay, so
I feel like I'm on NPR today.
yeah, I know, right? We're really close to the microphones. So this one, I have some explaining to do, and I gave it to Target, and this is why. So I used Target actually for the first time in many, many years this year because of the new baby, right? And I think that I had an appreciation for an omnichannel experience that simply works, and you didn't have to figure out, log in, create accounts, deal with all of that, and that's why I give it to them. So the story goes, it's like, and this happened multiple times, it's 2 a.m. or whatever, and my wife puts stuff in the pickup, or whatever. She used the app to add things to the cart for pickup that when the store opened the next morning. Now at 8 a.m. or whatever time the local store opened, I'm in my car and our accounts are synced. So all of a sudden it's like, hey, like you got 6 items ready for pickup. Like, tell us you're on your way. And then the GPS realizes when you're there and you pull up, and within a matter of seconds, some smiling Target employees out there with your bag of things, they put in the back of their car, and I'm home in 10 minutes. Now, the cool thing about this is that not only was the omnichannel experience ideally perfect, it worked with our family situation where there is 2 people potentially involved in the mix, which is not easy to do. And then also, in the state of mind I was in like little to no sleep, we didn't have time to figure out a new app or figure out a complex situation. We didn't have time to figure that out. And the fact that I was able to make it work flawlessly in that state of mind and in that kind of speed is the reason why I give it to him without question.
It's pretty awesome. Having worked there too, like all of what you just talked about was not there 4 or 5 years ago.
Sure,
So
sure.
all
Yeah,
of
right.
that had to
The
be
evolution
built,
of it's
especially
huge.
the guest account management side of that thing, like keeping that seamless across everything. Yeah, no, great point. Great point. Emma, what'd you think?
I also chose Target.
Did you really? You chose
I did.
Wow, Target's winning big here this
Yeah,
week.
I used curbside pickup for the first time this year. I used like.
Isn't
the
it so
regular-
easy?
It's
so easy.
I got a bag of dog food because it had been like 2 days since I fed my dog, and I just wanted to get it on the way home from work.
Wow,
Shows
this
how
is-
much we love dogs
Wow.
over here.
Shows you how well
Jeez.
Target's doing too, because even though we're in Minneapolis, we are not homers. We do not talk about Target all that often, so this is
Right.
pretty impressive. Anne, what'd you think?
I picked Target for this also.
Oh my God.
Because of curbside delivery. Honestly, that is life changing. And we had a little store of the future gathering last night, and we were talking about how even people who have never used Target this year have gotten on the bandwagon because of curbside and because of the app and how simple it is to use, not just for curbside delivery and omni-channel experience, but also for payments. Having consolidated all the payments and offers and Cartwheel into one app that now
Do you
can
pay
just
through your
scan.
app too? I do that too.
I do that
It's
too.
so awesome.
It's amazing. And
Yeah,
I
it's so
feel,
awesome.
I also voted this one for best middle finger to Amazon because
Yeah.
I do feel like
interesting.
for the exact use cases, one, you're getting new people that are on like using the Target app who are shopping Target who maybe never shopped Target before and are huge Amazon
I find
fans.
myself moving
like
apps.
Carter.
I honestly find myself opening
Yeah.
Target instead of Amazon.
wow,
because
for just general e-commerce.
Yeah.
And you know the price is going to be pretty calibrated for
right.
the most part.
Right. And you can get it in 10
Plus
minutes.
red
That
card.
curbside is so slick and and bringing it out to your car. I think we know that they are also working on, bringing produce and perishables into the mix. And I think that is going to be killer once that gets
Yeah.
done.
Well, and here's my other thing, and we can talk about this
Carter.
more in depth maybe next year, but Amazon is just getting pummeled in the press lately.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos is being looked at as more of a villain than a good guy. Amazon
the
is
FedEx thing this week.
Oh
was
my
so
gosh,
weird.
yeah. And then like there's this new thing about like secondhand trash, like, the
Yeah.
quality of product. And the idea that Target might be able to like leverage their employee base that is usually top-notch, well-trained, like approachable, etc., to be the face of that brand, even if it is just for a couple of seconds. I think there's only upward trajectory for this thing, and I think they're going to be able to leverage, to your point, Chris, the things that they have worked to build over the last 5-10 years in a way that Amazon's going to have a lot of work to try to catch up. Now, some of it's not tangible, but I mean, it's going to matter.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think it's a good point. I will pick something different.
Thank you.
okay.
Just to throw it out there, and I think it highlights all the same things you guys talked about. And I already picked Cornell for CEO of the year, so I don't want to do
Too much red.
I don't want to
Sure.
be too much, red bullseye. But Chick-fil-A. I think Chick-fil-A has one of the best. I know.
Chicken
I
sandwiches.
went out there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, the chicken sandwiches. It has everything you guys are talking about too. If you haven't used it, I mean, their app is amazing. Their location capabilities in terms of what they can do, it's far better than Starbucks now in terms of order ahead,
I did it at the Mall of
pick
America
up.
because
Did
the
you
line
really?
was so long.
And it worked well.
Worked great.
Yeah, it's pretty stellar. And then the rewards program and how that works and how fluid that is, it's really, really good. So when you want a model of everything you just talked about for Target, how to pay, how to do order pickup, curbside delivery, the technology that makes it happen, it's all there in that platform. And by the way, it's been there for a good bit of time now. It's great. It's great. I absolutely think it's amazing. It used to be Starbucks was the one that won that hands
Right.
down for me, and now it's Chick-fil-A. Maybe based on what you guys are saying, I got to pay more attention to Target.
And with Starbucks, I'll be curious in 2020. I don't think the curbside pickup or not curbside, but like pickup at Starbucks, we were talking about a year ago,
yeah.
Yeah.
right? And like I haven't seen a ton of change in that.
I feel like that experience has actually gotten worse.
I would agree
I don't
too.
go
As
to
more
Starbucks as much anymore.
as more people use it, it's like it's harder to figure out.
Yeah,
And there's I would argue ways you could. Anyways,
No, there is.
2020.
You guys sound so
20.
ridiculous. Like now that everybody knows about
Hey,
Starbucks
hey,
mobile
hey,
pickup,
hey.
Well, I think it's also just the app development's gotten a lot worse too. But anyway, all right.
And
we move
Third
on.
House has the best coffee.
We move on because and went to middle finger. We'll do that one after this. I want to do one first before we do
Okay.
who gave the best middle finger to Amazon. Let's do worst idea of the year. Worst idea in retail of 2019.
Oh, I gotta remember.
I will start us out.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds
good.
good.
All right. Get the minds going. It had to be grocery delivery to your fridge from Walmart.
Oh
That
my God.
video with him, with Lori in the pickup truck was the worst, most ridiculous
That's a
thing
good
I have
one.
seen. It was even worse than Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. I mean, this thing just doesn't make any sense to me at all. It's going to take years and years to pull it off. No one's going to use it. Oh, wasn't this like the weird thing where you could like elect to have that be the way? The whole user experience of it doesn't make sense. Like, anyway, that was one. There was a close second. This one was a neck and neck heat. I want to see if you guys name the next one, who my runner up was.
I'm going to say continuing to roll out Story in Macy's after the first couple sets.
You guys had an
Oh, that was a
that
good one,
story
too.
that
I
you
forgot
guys
about
you
that.
guys
That was
went
the
and-
worst execution of the year.
Sure.
Maybe
I
not the
mean,
worst idea,
Story
but,
Outdoor,
like,
the pictures
oh
are
my
like
God.
burned into my brain.
yeah.
Christmas Story is pretty terrible too, actually. But
I
we haven't
yeah.
even talked about that yet.
I think it's disappointing for me. Like I just
It had potential.
I had, especially after seeing the first one, and they talked up like, no, you guys, give us till holiday. We've got it. It's gonna
Got
be
it
blow
figured
your
out.
mind. This is like magical. You're thinking back to like Miracle on 34th Street stuff, and there's it. It feels like that should have been paused and like skip the middle, whatever the middle segment was, and then like let's really relaunch for holiday.
I'm dying to jump in here because you know what you just described reminds me of when I was a kid. I watched the show Growing Pains. Do you remember
Oh,
that
God,
show
yeah.
with Kirk Cameron?
Yeah.
The one episode I always remember.
It was
for
in black
some
and white,
reason-
right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, cool.
The one episode I always remember is there was like this really, really good-looking girl in high school that he wanted to date, and he finally got the chance to talk to her.
Yeah.
And when he talked to her, she had like the highest pitched voice in human history. And that's what Story at Macy's was. It's like, oh my God, this is something you want so bad, and then it happens, and you're like, wow, it's the high pitched girl from Growing Pains. Like that's what this was. Like it's been terrible. It's been terrible. Emma, what do you think? Worst idea you saw all year?
I also chose the fridge delivery
You did.
from Walmart. Just so many things can go wrong, and I just can't get over how many things can possibly go wrong with that.
Which
And
is ironic because you're also holding a dog as you talk about that, which is one of the things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
A lot
with that
actually
experience.
did go wrong.
And has been going wrong.
Well, and
right?
here's the hard thing about that too is like I have so much respect and so much love and so much sympathy for people who are fulfilling last mile delivery. It's a hard job. You're not getting paid enough to do it, and like I believe that's something that needs to be revolutionized. But I think anyone who's gotten that, like, you don't really know who you're gonna get. Sometimes they're awesome. Sometimes they're a little bit unreliable, a little bit sketchy. So why would you just open your front door and let them come hang out in the living room for a while? You know, and I think that's really kind of the main issue, and not to mention just kind of the, ironic nature of how they rolled that out as well.
Yeah. So that was yours too?
No, it was not.
Oh, okay. What's yours?
I love everyone who is a part of this, but the
Oh my
Modern
God.
Retail Collective was,
Yes!
I would say,
Yeah,
That was my runner-up.
hands down.
That was my runner-up.
My worst one. And for those who have followed some of the work, whether it was from the Q4 conference or some things that I have maybe gone on a rant about here on the podcast, I am so against buzzworthy technology. I am so against screens for no reason, QR codes for no reason, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. And it was like they found a way to slam all of that into a single store and then realize that, wait, no one wants to do that. And if you guys remember when we first talked about this, I called that out. And Ann, you went to the defense of Modern Retail Collective. You're like, it actually has some interesting things. I'm like, let's wait, let's figure it out. And that's no offense to you, Ann, obviously. But I think the point is what we realize when we make contrast, and that's why I loved our time at Black Friday.
Yep.
You can contrast the Lululemon no sale, like physical experience done right, to Modern Retail Collective, a store packed full of technology for no apparent reason. And you looked at the difference, and there was not a soul inside.
I still am going to come to the defense here because
I can defend it on a fundamental level of like
I can't-
if a censor wanted to test this out to show that it doesn't work, then awesome.
here's the thing. I don't think it's apples to apples. I don't think you can compare Modern Retail Collective with Lululemon or any of the other like consumer stores that we're shopping about.
I think
that
that's
is
a
an
fair
experiment.
point. That doesn't make it good.
No, I'm not saying it's. I'm not saying that. I'm just clarifying. Like, if we're gonna go and look at this apples to apples, stores to stores, what's the worst execution based on like consumers walking in the door? There's no consumers walking in the door of Modern Retail Collective, or there's very few. It's mostly people in the industry, and I
but
would
that's the thing,
argue that.
you're pitching it that way though. Like that's the thing. That's why it's so bad. It's like
I
my
would-
favorite thing on Black Friday was like we walk in, there's no one there, and the question they ask, "Hi, are you guys consultants?" Yeah, because I'm a freaking consultant on Black Friday in a retail store. That's what I am. That's your first question you ask me.
Well, it's because that's the only people who came in.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's a freaking timeshare.
But
it's
I
a
would.
timeshare sales pitch in the Mall of America.
Yes, I don't love it. I would argue though that they were never going in to pitch that as a apples to apples store. This was supposed to be a lab that they were putting in a live
it's a
environment.
mousetrap. That's all it is.
Yeah.
You're right. You're totally right. You're dead right. 100%. All right, let's do this one. Let's say you hinted at it already. I can tell you liked it, so I didn't tell you which questions I was going to ask you guys.
No.
Best middle finger to Amazon. So for you, it was Target.
Yeah, I specifically said Target curbside delivery.
Target curbside delivery.
Yeah.
Carter.
Shopify. Like
Shopify.
it goes right into it. I think, uniting
That was my
the
runner-up.
uniting the small businesses to really leverage the size of what Shopify represents. Could be really cool.
So this was also a hard category because I feel like, do you judge them based on what they announced in 2019 or what the results are for this? Because we had another category. I don't know if we're going to get to it, but at this point, what the hell?
Why not?
Trailblazer of the year. And I picked Fair for the same reasons that Carter's talking about Shopify, because I think that with Shopify platforms like Fair, I think that is really positioning itself in the next couple of years to really give a middle finger to Amazon. And so I think that by uniting the local shop owners like Carter's talking about, but I don't feel like they've gotten to that point in 2019 to really make that splash yet.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Emma, what'd you think? Who do you think gave the best middle finger to Amazon?
I said when Nike stopped selling products through Amazon's
That's a
website.
good one. Yeah.
That's a good one.
I was that's just the biggest screw you.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah.
And I think it's
That was mine too,
It's
actually.
a brand
That was
flex.
mine.
It's to say
Yeah.
we don't need you. You're not representing our brand well enough, and you never will. So
Yeah.
see ya.
And
Yeah.
that was why, going back to our talk in the beginning too, where I was like, I think that stuff's important, like how you
Totally.
hold your brand. And
Yeah.
also why you liked
Glossier.
Emily Weiss. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. All right, let's do two more. I think this next one's important. Most important technology.
Who wants to start?
Why don't you start?
Okay. I feel like I try to avoid picking Amazon for any of these categories, or even like Target and Walmart where possible, because I feel like there are sections of those companies that could win a lot of these awards. But I have to say, Amazon Go and computer vision in
So
general
computer
this
vision.
year, that is technology of the year for me.
That gets my vote.
It's
And
amazing.
I hate it. I in some ways, I don't want to sound biased because Trigo is one of our sponsors, but computer vision for sure, 100%.
Like-
in so many aspects of retail, not just checkout free shopping.
Right.
It can be used in e-commerce operation, in-store operations via robotics. There's just so many applications to it.
Going to change how we shop next month.
Yeah, and I was gonna say in the future, I think you're gonna see a lot of that, and I think a lot of the innovation is happening behind the scenes currently, where users don't necessarily know the benefit of that. I have a lame one that you guys will know that I say. I still am such a big fan of SMS messaging that you have.
It's a good one,
it's,
man. It's a
Yeah.
good one.
And I get a lot of
It's a good
heat for
one.
that. Ultimately,
No.
it being the oldest technology on phones. I remember being a 14-year-old typing with T9 to my crush in middle school. But the
Oh man, so many jokes.
I know.
Keep going.
okay, but the point is, SMS to this day is the best technology to connect with consumers directly, and you're seeing it come back. You're seeing all the New York Times stuff. We actually wrote a piece about this just a couple months ago. You have platforms like Community coming up, finding ways for celebrities and brands to connect with their consumers one-on-one in mass fashion. This is the technology that works, and you know why? Because everyone has it. Everyone knows how to use it. It's quick. It's direct. It's one-to-one. It's customizable. It's amazing. I was sitting on, and everyone's using it. I was messaging with Delta yesterday. Heck, I would call Delta, right? I was just messing with them. They figured everything out. It was all good. And then, ding, a couple of seconds later, all of a sudden, I have a note from one of my favorite, celebrities giving me a couple articles for the day. It is amazing. And you're seeing retailers like Dirty Lemon. I mean, this was
I knew
a
they were
year and
coming
a
up. They
half
had to
ago,
come up in
2
our
years
awards.
ago, 3 years ago, using this as a complete end-to-end commerce solution. And I'm surprised we're not actually seeing more retailers take advantage of SMS. Specifically in the gap between the Target powerhouse and startups, right?
Yeah.
Because not everyone can build a beautiful multi-million-dollar application that works all the time, every time. But it's much easier to enable SMS commerce like Dirty Lemon has done in a way that I think could be leveraged more and more in the new year.
It's a great point, Carter. Yeah, it's something to keep an eye on. It gives me thought for Third House and some of the experimentation we're doing here too. Emma, what'd you think?
I didn't actually choose anything for this one. I struggled with that just because I haven't really experienced most of the cool technology that I've read about in person. However, if I had to choose something, I would definitely go with computer vision, checkout free shopping. I think that, as Ann said, is going to be the future.
Which text is an offshoot of that too. I thought, Thong Nguyen a few weeks ago in one of our podcasts with Rumera dropped the bomb on that too. When we asked him the how millennial are you questions, what social app do you use the most? And he dropped
iMessages,
text messaging.
right?
Yeah,
It's
right.
iMessages,
It's the
yeah.
one thing we all use.
Well, it
yeah.
also works for any age right now. I mean, you have to think about that too. Even the boomers and older are texting.
That's right.
They might use way too many animojis and GIFs, but let me tell you, they know how to use it and they love it. So
That's right. Yeah, and to your guys' point earlier, it's very Croji friendly. for your retailer
Yeah,
of the year.
straight.
All right, let's get us out of here on this one final question. What retailer would you quit your job to work for?
Chris, I want you to
Let
start.
it sink in. You want me to start?
Yeah.
All right. I couldn't pick, actually.
What could possibly take you away from working with me every day?
Absolutely. Well, that's a loaded question. I don't think
Oh my God, there's so many answers.
Take the fifth.
Chick-fil-A.
You can't say it. Yeah, Chris is going to
sandwich.
be the next guy.
No, for me, it was really 3. I think there's 3 that I think are really interesting.
There's at
Okay.
least 3 reasons you would leave here.
Yeah, that's
Perfect.
true.
Great. Good to know.
I would never
Good to
leave
know.
what I'm doing because I love it. And I love working with you every day. I'll just put that out there. Shameless plug.
Yep.
But Walmart,
Okay.
Macy's,
Okay.
Turnaround story, huh?
Mhm.
and Lululemon.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's really it. You called it Lululemon because of everything I said. It just,
Bandwagon,
They just
yeah.
got such a good thing going.
And all
I
that
don't,
free Luan that
Right.
he could put
The
on
yoga
his
pants you're
body.
wearing right now do
Yeah.
look good on you.
And I don't like pushing water uphill. Although in the converse of that, I do like trying to do things people think can't be done. And one of those is Macy's. And so I would love
Okay.
to get in there and try to figure out how to fix Macy's. And then Walmart, I think, just because it's so damn important
Yeah.
to try to get in there. And I would love to get in there and do what Walmart's all about, which is how do you start putting the innovation towards helping people save money and live better every single day.
Yeah.
And God, that would impassion me. Like, sorry, I had no idea I was going to do this, but like I'm going to go off on a rant because I read Andy Dunn's like love letter to Walmart
Yeah.
last week.
How did you feel about that?
I was pissed. He's like, Walmart has a moral imperative. Like, I've learned that in my 2 years of working at Walmart. But okay, I'm just going to freaking leave, right? Okay, you did your time, you left. Like, that's how I read that.
Yeah.
And so, but you're right. Walmart does have a moral imperative. So, like, let's do something about it. And my question would be, what did you do? Because I don't know what I saw, at
Yeah.
least from the public announcements. But that would get me to at least consider that.
Maybe him leaving was the morally imperative thing to do.
Yeah, right. Maybe for all of us. Yeah. What'd you think?
I picked Kroger.
Are you serious?
I'm
Kroger?
dead
I
serious.
thought you'd pick Glossier or something. Really? Kroger.
No.
The pink jumpsuit just didn't do it.
had
I
no
don't
idea
look
you
good
were
in
on
that
this, like,
color of pink. I
Kroger
have a
love
lot of
train.
pink undertones in my skin. It would be a disaster.
You hated the advertising move. Like, you hated the whole thing.
Maybe that's why I want to go there,
Oh.
Chris.
Turnaround.
All right.
Actually, I think I'm picking it for the same reason that I picked it as retailer of the year.
Wow.
There's a lot of cool stuff happening there. You know how much I love. Oh my God, that was a terrible face. You know how much I love future retail and food executions, and so I think that's kind of where my passions would go, like building up what the future of like restaurants, food delivery, and actual food concepts and grocery. The impact that's going to have on the future. And for the same reasons you're talking about Walmart, I think getting food to people in food desert areas and how you make that a scalable concept to get across the country feels like something that has to be in their strategy for
Fresh
the
for
coming
everyone, right?
years. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we didn't talk about the Walgreens Kroger partnership. I
Right.
thought that was pretty cool this year too.
Yeah.
Emma,
Yeah.
what about you?
So I have 2,
Okay.
Oh,
and for very different reasons, though.
is one of
So-
them Third House? No.
That would be nice.
Shameless plug. All right, nice. Also a shameless plug.
But the first one that came to my mind was Everlane, because I've been following Everlane for as long as they have existed. I admire everything they do, and I'd be honored to do merchandising or marketing for them. On the other hand, I think I would quit my job to go work for Gap, kind of for the same reason.
Ooh.
Interesting.
So would I actually. I didn't think about that
I
one.
have like so many ideas. I
Yeah.
went into a local mall Gap the other day and was just so disappointed
Yeah,
with
it's brutal,
everything.
right?
And I like it has so much potential, and they actually have really like nice and quality products. And my brain was going with all these different ways that we could display things better and like up the marketing game. Their social media presence is just bleh. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I just have so many ideas, and that kind of got me thinking like, oh, it'd actually be really cool to be brought in to create change for the company and bring it back to what it once was.
Emma, when you're on the plane back home to New
That's a
York
really good
today, I would love to see some sketches if Margot will let you.
I was just thinking the same thing.
I would love to see what they are and like riff on that and talk about it in a
Yeah, I
future
was just thinking the same
podcast or
thing.
story.
Yeah.
Of
So you
Gap
sh-
and like what I saw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Just
gonna
like
be a little tough, but like I can
We should
do
all
it.
3 do that. All 4 of us.
Yeah.
Do that. Yeah, it'd be cool. Now that's
fun
the same thing.
exercise.
Yeah.
All
Carter,
right.
close us up.
Mine. I can't talk
dying
too
to
much
hear
about
this.
it, and it's it's a nod to how lucky I am to have the job I
You love your
currently
job,
do.
of course.
Because I would love to work on Nike retail, especially their flagship locations. If you haven't been to that Fifth
Yeah.
Avenue store in New York, there is some sort of magic that comes over you when you walk through those front doors. And they change it over all the time, and every time you go in there, it blows you away. And it's the same thing for their flagship store on Spring Street. It's the same thing for a lot of their flagship stores. But there's something about that Fifth Avenue store where they have just figured out a way to engulf you in the brand, similar to Lululemon, but Nike does it just at like a different, more in-your-face level that I'm constantly just amazed by. And I think that the evolution of that in 2020 is going to be a ton of fun to see.
Interesting. Okay, I wasn't thinking you were going to say that. I would like to see them improve that experience at the Mall of America, too. I do not think the Mall of America feels like a flagship experience. So maybe, there you go. There is a huge opportunity there. All right, well, that closes us up. That was fun. Always a little bit of a longer podcast. Thanks for sticking with us. We never know exactly where it's going to go, and purposely, we don't know what the hell any of us are going to say, which is always a blast. A couple of housekeeping notes. There were some fun articles and podcasts we dropped like it was hot.
Oh my God.
Oh, yes.
2020 is going to have
Can we
new...
bury that
I
in
did
2019,
I did it,
please?
Carter. But we had Karen Stuckey, the SVP of Private Brands and Sourcing, on Ann's Women's Retail Collective podcast in association with the Network of Executive Women. Be sure to give that a listen.
Yes.
Really, really good stuff and impressive woman when you hear her speak. Incredibly articulate. And just really, a lot of things she said were really profound.
And a big fan of what we're doing.
And a huge fan of what we're doing. Yeah.
So thanks to
Big
Karen
supporter.
for your comments and support.
Yeah, I learned a lot from it, especially the part she does this whole thing about balance and the
Yeah.
myth of balance. It's really interesting.
Yeah,
and
if you're
intriguing.
looking to set an intention for 2020, listen to that podcast. She's got quite a few good ideas for you.
Absolutely. Of course, as I mentioned in the beginning, we released the podcast that we did with Trigo on the history and future of computer vision and how it pertains to retail. Also put a couple fun posts out on Forbes, 5 tips for delighting your customers in 2020. Be sure to check that out. And then my favorite post of the year went live yesterday, and that is, of course, my 5 predictions for retail in 2020. Be sure to give that one a look. I was no holds barred. You'll find what what CEOs actually might be on the chopping block. What company looks disastrously close to recreating the JCPenney's disaster a la Ron Johnson a few years ago. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. It's humorous as usual. And of course, finally, happy holidays to everyone. Hope you enjoy the times with your families. Be safe as well. And for Anne, for Emma, for Carter, and of course, even Margot the dog, be careful out there.